So in the late 90s, I kind of accidentally started a company called Rustic Garden Structures. And it was building outdoor furniture and structures out of cedar using the limbs and using the posts with the bark still attached, kind of like the stuff you may see in Central Park, New York. Yeah, so back in the early days of when I was just tinkering and woodworking a little bit, I was really experimental because I didn't have any tools. I didn't know what I was doing really, but I had a field full of little tiny cedar trees, little saplings that I could cut up with a handsaw and screw together. And I really wanted a porch swing. This great old farmhouse, it needed a porch swing. So I put one together, I hung it up on the porch, sat in it, and it flipped over backwards immediately. But in the next version, I made it so it wouldn't flip. And I thought, man, I can make a chair now, I can make an arbor, I can make furniture from my yard. And it just kind of started from there. It's just finding natural materials around me that I could use. I had great woods to choose from. I had a knack for it, I had an eye for it. I had the ability to go into the woods and see a tree that was bent over from a storm and say, that's an arbor. Eventually it became products. Eventually I was able to start traveling the country, building these things for parks and museums, but it was without any formal training. It was really a step-by-step, learn as I go, artistic kind of endeavor. What I gained from starting this company was a great knowledge about tools and regular construction methods, but also how do you use what you got? How do you make use of the materials that are around you? How do you do a really cool project for your house or for a friend where you can get all of your materials from your local Habitat reuse store, for example? So I started tinkering, I started building, I started gaining knowledge, I started traveling, I started getting really well known, up to the point where we were building rustic structures in the backyard of Steve Jobs' house in California. It was pretty crazy. But after 20 years of doing this and having done just about everything that I could, really wanted a different experience. I was really ready to move on and take those skills that I had learned and use them in other ways. So after a while, we decided, hey, let's go somewhere else. Let's raise our family in another country. Let's go someplace and do something that most people don't ever get to do. So we sold out, we moved out, we went to Costa Rica. And for 5 years in Costa Rica, we ran an eco lodge called Edge of the World Costa Rica. We were right up on a cliff overlooking the jungle and the Pacific Ocean, and we entertained guests from around the world in some rental cabins that we had. While we were there, I learned really quickly that there's no Home Depot, there's no place where you can get normal things. You have to work with what you got. And I was so fortunate that I had the skills that I had learned through Rustic Garden Structures to be able to use them in this new environment. We had this amazing house that really needed a lot of work, and it wasn't just for our family, but it was to share with all of our guests. That included a swimming pool. We built one from scratch using stones and cement. We built a floating roof that was above the pool. It was a really cool project. They used spring water from the local spring that was piped down into our pool. All of these amazing things I did without the use of very much technology at all, using just what the jungle provided and what we could find in nearby areas. We love Costa Rica, and it was really an amazing experience for us. It was great for our kids to get to grow up in a different area, speak a different language. It really gave us a much broader horizon, I guess. But enough was enough. We were ready to come back to the States. It was time to reincorporate ourselves. So this time we packed our bags and came to Oregon. Oregon is fantastic. We're in a little town called Philomath. We bought a house here. It's super sweet. It's a great neighborhood for kids. Our kids are now 9 and 16, 2 daughters. Devin and I are raising them now in small town America. This is not Costa Rica. So we bought this house. This house has needed a lot of work. We knew that going into it. That didn't really scare us. It was built over 100 years ago, so, you know, you gotta do some updates. It's been a great palette for us to work with, and all these little clever things that we've been doing. We've done a whole bunch of restoration to it. All of these little projects, all of these things that a lot of people encounter, and we're knocking them off one by one. The only difference is the rest of the projects we're doing now, we're gonna start sharing them with you. It's not big stuff, but we're gonna do it in a really different, clever way. Inside the house, outside the house. Some of them are restoration projects, some of them gardening. A lot of them are just enhancing our way of life, showing you what we're doing. Maybe it'll give you some ideas. So check out our videos. We're gonna be doing some really cool stuff. We're gonna be really clever, right? We're gonna do it without spending much money.
And we're gonna build a home, build a family, and build a life here in Oregon.
Perfect.
Well, you'll build a family, and I don't have to do it.
I'm not building a family. You do have to do the work.
I know.
You're the tester.